Yeah.
So in endurance sport, we hear a lot the word resilience. What does it mean? From the dictionary, resilience is the ability to be happy, successful, again after something difficult or bad has happened. Today we talk about ups and downs of athletes' journey. Welcome to season 2, episode 11 of our podcast with Coach Joao.
Hello guys.
Alessio.
Hello, buongiorno.
Melina.
Good morning.
They are all three in Dubai, and then Coach Mohammed in France.
Hi.
And myself in Italy. And this is Chat with BR Coaches. What is resilience? I dare any athlete to say I never had a difficulty. All of us had to face a forced training stop. And either it was work, family, body, or mind. Which one of these was the one that was the toughest to overcome? I'm going to ask this to all of you guys, because then we're giving an insight on what our journey was and how we overcame difficulties. Which one was your toughest, Joao?
I think for me, it's always harder when it becomes something in my body because I'm very well trained to overcome my mind. I think it's one of my strong points, I can say, as an athlete, that I feel that I can go over better, but of course when my body is giving me a hard time in terms of muscle injury or joint or even like a cold or a flu or something different, then I feel that is the one that I have harder time to accept the struggle, because you feel you could do something mentally, you're prepared, you're full on, but your body is telling you that okay, let's not go there because it might hurt you, or you cannot do, like even if a simple thing, let's say a muscle injury or something a little bit more annoying, like let's say a tendonitis, an Achilles, or knee pain or shoulder pain, because those little things, they keep coming back to you, and then we keep going, and then at some point the body just say, you know what, this is your limit here. So for me, when I feel that limitation, it's where I have a harder time to accept. Even now, all of these years, I still feel that I should learn a little bit more from that moment. I still give a little bit, maybe 3-4 pushes more before I accept. So maybe probably it's always mentally as well, but to accept that that the body is letting me down a little bit. Probably this is my
Was it
struggle.
always like this? Was it always like this, or in the past the mind was a little bit more concerning you? I mean, like now you're saying, chronic pain or body that is not 100% is the one that is for you is the toughest to overcome. But at the beginning, because you have a profession that through many years you have built this mind, this mind strength, let's say. So now.
So for me, I understand. Yeah. So for me, I think when I felt that I didn't have the mental strength to do what I wanted to do, and this was right from the beginning, when I came back to triathlon when I was 26, 27 years old. So I decided to do an Ironman. Straight away I felt that I didn't have the mental strength to think about that. And then I said, okay, if I cannot think about the Ironman, then I have a problem to do the Ironman. So I tried to build the mental strength before I built my physical strength. So I think that part I fixed quite quick, doing really crazy challenge and doing long sessions and trying to work on my brain. So that's probably one thing that I learned first, was how to mentally be prepared for the long challenge, to don't keep thinking of the same thing, to switch off the brain, or to be more aware of my body during the exercise. So I try to work that first. Then build my body through the years, I think, something like that.
What about you, Mohammed? Which one is your the toughest to overcome between the challenges that you have faced that was the toughest to overcome?
It was definitely both the mind and the body. For sure, it took me a very long time to manage my mind and the long sessions. And when you do like a 3-hour session on a turbo trainer, and these kind of sessions that they help build mental toughness. But of course, the body also, as Coach Joao was saying, that when you're racing, you get like a cramp. How you deal with it, and the disappointment after a race, and so yeah, both of them, the mind and the body, were very hard to overcome when I started my journey in triathlon.
What about you, Melina? Any episode you want to share about this?
I've had a few. I've had a few. I think I'd agree more with Joao in that I struggle when the body doesn't either can't do what it's supposed to do or what I think it's supposed to do. Um, the mind, I think, over time, the thing is with being athletes, you kind of learn to, no matter what level of athlete you are, you learn to push through certain barriers and certain points where you think you can't push anymore, or you're tired, or you're aching. So we're kind of used to pushing the limits and pushing past certain pain thresholds, which can be quite dangerous if you're injured, to try and learn which pain it's okay to push through and which isn't. So I think for me, it's when the body doesn't quite do what you expect it to do. And I think if I look more in recently, I guess, coming back from COVID and then developing long COVID, when I was first allowed to start training and I had a lot of restrictions, there were certain feelings, like, especially when I was back in the water and the asthma would kick in, which I've never had to deal with before. It was very hard to know, well, is this asthma? Should I stop and slow down? Is this the fact that I've lost my fitness for the last 9 months? And it's a very disconcerting feeling to be doing something that comes very naturally to you, and suddenly you can't read your body. It makes you feel very nervous. It's very unsettling, and you become too scared to push. Where before I was more than capable of pushing through certain points, this time I was too scared in case there was something wrong and it would trigger something else. So I think the emotions and the emotions that come with the body not playing ball is probably the hardest thing that I've had to deal with.
Yeah, the way that body and mind then start interacting, it's pretty evident, because as you said, you guys were strong, from a mind point of view because of your history in sport, and then all of a sudden the body puts a stop, and now also the mind is like, oh, can I make it, and you get into dealing with this chronic pain, how to work around. There was a nice article on Training Peaks about this, as a coach, how do you deal with chronic pain, which was not only, just trying to give the sessions that the athlete can do because, it's an Achilles, or, go for a swim. It was much more try to go into the psychology of the athlete and say, okay, look, we are not stopping, because that's the issue, if all of a sudden you have been building and now you stop, and yet the body, the way that it feels, it's like now also the mind is gonna suffer from it all of a sudden, all the hormones and all the levels, they all get messed up. What about you, Alessio? Any experience on that.
For me, it's the same of Coach Joao, but agree in part with Melina said. And once especially after a long season, a long race season, when my body was very tired, uh, was my mind that called for a stop. Okay, I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied about what I did, and I need a stop. I understand that I need a stop, and after a couple of weeks, uh, probably because of resilience, I restart again. If you don't have a resilience, maybe you stop there, and that's it. But after the body was good, the mind had again the will to restart again, to compete, to training. The body was good, and that's it.
And that's the message for our listeners in the end. You know, experienced athletes like you guys, you know, we've been around for quite a bit, and we can see that this is happening, you know, quite often. It depends, it's life. But the thing is, you know, we're gonna talk a little bit more about how we react to this, you know, a little bit of techniques and you know, the help that we need to look for to be able effectively to overcome these difficulties. My experience was just it was quite a long period in my training. It was my second year of triathlon, and in the day that I trashed both my Achilles, I signed for a full distance like 7 months later. You know, that's what you do. So that was me forcing myself to you know, to go through pain for a long time, because I took this injury for quite a while, and it wasn't pleasant. And you have the question every day you go train is, can I go there and, you know, run a marathon, which I never did before with this situation. You know, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's I think it's also in the human nature, you know, to always stand up and, you know, and try, you know, because we have been running for quite a few years now, centuries. So it's something like it comes from inside, and probably everybody has it. It's just a matter of how you bring it out, and how people that are around you, your team, your coaches, your doctors, they help you to bring it out.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys, you want to add on this?
I think what you just mentioned there, although we could probably take some time to debate how smart your decision was to sign up for a full Ironman with two dodgy legs. I think you make a good point that, especially in times like that, having a goal to focus you and kind of pull you out is a good thing. So I think it just reiterates that goal setting is a very good strategy to deal with these ups and downs. You just, I think you just need to be smart in how you set your goals, what goals you set. And at times even pulling, you know, the goals don't have to be performance related or race related, but using that same strategy and applying it to your rehab and your recovery, so you can slowly pull yourself out. So I think that's it's a good example that you kind of raised, that having that goal helps you get through that phase. Otherwise, it can be very easy to just then think, oh, well, what's the point? I can't do anything, and kind of give up a little bit.
Yeah. We will get back on this, talking about techniques to overcome difficulties. But first, we get 30 seconds break. Today is Wednesday, so what does it happen on Wednesday, Joao, normally?
So Wednesdays we have our track session with Coach Martyn, the Olympian coach at Sports City Track. The session, we have two slots time, 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. So basically you do the warm-up with him, and then followed by a workout that also he's going to prepare for you guys. It's based on technique and sprints, so it's really good speed workout. And you can book it through our reception. You can look in the website or the number that Tommaso gonna post for you guys.
Yeah. Okay, all the information through BR Performance Studios front desk, info@bespoke-ride.com. Anyway, 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock at Sport City Track, run with Olympian. 30 seconds break. And we're back with Chart with BR Coaches. Resilience is normally, I feel like, it's made of two aspects: the attitude towards the obstacles and the action. It's the moment that we overcome the obstacles that we continue our journey that makes us resilient, because if we are just thinking about it, even if it's a positive mindset, but we don't complete, then we don't stand up. Okay, so I feel like it's two moments. Once the moment that you realize that you need to do something, and the moment that you do it. Okay, so Melina introduced her technique. What is the technique that you have been using, guys, to overcome this stumbling in the process? Mohammed, you want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends on how badly you want it. I think people along the line, they give up and they just they don't continue, and other people, they just keep coming back. And it's again, it's the mindset, it's the growth mindset, it's the persistence, because you are going to definitely go through difficult times while training, while racing. You're going to have ups and downs, and if you're not persistent, if you don't keep on trying, if you don't repeat the same things over and over again, you're not going to improve, you're not going to get better, and you're going to find it difficult to continue.
I think the only thing I'd like to kind of add there, I do agree. There's kind of a different types of people and how they will approach it. But for many people, and this applies to, you don't have to be a professional athlete, you don't have to be a high performing athlete, you just have to be an athlete no matter what the level. Sport and training for you can, your identity can tie into it. And if suddenly that's taken away, that causes quite an internal battle for a few people. Suddenly they just feel that they're not themselves anymore. So I think that can dictate how they respond. Someone can be able to kind of see past that and not question their identity and just start applying the same attitude and techniques that they do in training. They can shift it into the rehab and relatively seamlessly carry on and push through. Other people, they may find that it starts to question their identity. Oh my God, I've lost my sport, and what am I going to do? I don't think it means that they're any less able to overcome it. It just means that it's just going to take a little bit longer, and they'll need to do a little bit more work. Kind of to bring it back to myself with, this past year, I did go through that phase quite a lot. And for me, the only way I could stay connected with the sport was to go through the volunteering route. It was the only way I could stay within it when I knew I couldn't race. It wasn't a particularly easy thing to do, to watch everybody else race when I couldn't. But it kept me in it. Otherwise, it would have been very easy for me to just take a complete step out and think I've kind of lost it now. And until I was then able to start training again, then it was easier to apply the normal techniques and focus. When I wasn't able to train, it was very difficult for me to even think about applying goal setting or, it's, there was just too much internal questioning going on to even contemplate about using normal techniques. So I think we have to try and recognize that in someone. And like I said, they don't have to be a high performing athlete to have sport as part of their identity. They could be relatively low, they could be beginners into the sport. If it's important to them and they've lost it, it's almost like stages of grief, maybe not necessarily in that order, but you still have to take that into account.
Yeah.
I think Joao wants to add something on this.
Yeah. So for me, I think resilience for me. So it's very dangerous because I feel that some people they take that as a struggle that you should be feeling. Like okay, I am feeling this struggle here, and doesn't matter if it's sport or life. I think this is a bit bigger. So because there is a way to see the connection of how you struggle in the training and you deal with that struggle, and how you struggle with situations in your life and how you deal with that. So it's very connected. With all these years of coaching, we can see athletes going through phase in their life, impacts in the training, and then the way they deal with the training struggle, and then you see their lives going through ups and downs. You can see that relation a little bit there, it's very, and also ourselves. So I think it's a bit deeper than, oh, I struggle in a track session and I struggle on my Ironman, and then I give up at some point all the time, and I just take easy. And then sometimes you see the potential in that person to go over a profession or to achieve something bigger in their life, but you see that they keep hitting the wall and they keep coming back to like, oh, I'm not happy, my work, I'm not happy with this person, I don't know what to do here. So I think what I always say that, because for me, it's really important that people understand that learning that they have in the struggle of a session or an Ironman, they will use to deal with situations in their lives, And for me, I like to think of resilience, but I like to think of adaptation. So adaptation for me, it's a bit more evolution. It's an evolution process, because resilience can keep you down, saying, I will struggle here, but I can struggle for the rest of my life, and I'm very strong because I survived on that struggle. But honestly, I feel that some people take that and they keep struggling and they never try to adapt to move on. So, for example, if I take your example, Thomas, of when you had the both Achilles, you take an action to say, you know what, I need to change something here. So I will move on and I will throw myself in a deep water and see what happened after, So you sign up for a full Ironman while you were injured. I signed up for my first Ironman while I was jobless in Brazil. So it's crazy because, I had no work. I signed up for something that I would have to train more and spend more time doing that thing and less money. But I said, I need to change something in my life. This is not working at this moment. So for me, adaptation is really important that people feel. And I see that, sorry to go a little bit longer. So to finish, I feel that people, when they feel the struggle in sports, and they don't change something, like I'm not changing my technique. I'm not looking for a physio. I'm not talking to my coach. I'm just suffering all the way. It's a mistake. They are doing a mistake. So action is very important. I think you said that very, very well, Thomas.
Yeah, it is. There are few techniques. I'm reading a book now. It's Alex Bellini. This guy is an explorer, and he's a psychologist. I mean, his way that he analyzes the mindset. He has been crossing the oceans, rowing a few
Yeah,
times. So you know him,
yeah,
Alessio.
yeah.
So he's talking about this technique. That is technique. There are books, okay, about self-efficacy. Okay, so the way that you use your self-dialogue, and it puts this step, the first step. So it must come from yourself. It must come from your body, from your mind, where you process things, and you start acting. This is the way that everything starts. Now, are you able to do that? That's why probably you have a team around you, meaning a team, I say a coach, and also if you need a therapist, and if you need orthopedic, if you need a nutritionist, because then at that point you can start talking to yourself. You can start convincing yourself that you can do it and you can stand up. Alessio, do you want to add something on this? Any technique that you want to share on how to stand up again?
I don't have technique. For me, it's more about something inside you. I agree with Coach Mo. I don't know if there is any technique, but for me, 90% is coming from you. Then probably the last part can help. Could help, of course, but from my personal opinion, is mostly part is inside you. Or you have, or you don't have. Very selective and.
We know
I'm
you.
having
You're the youngest here, so you go like full power, either
Black or
full
white,
power.
yeah.
Yes, black or white, either idol or full power. But I think another aspect that Melina was talking about was, the discussion about long COVID. There is at a certain point, we don't want to give the wrong message that you need to go and with trashed Achilles, you need to go and train anyway. Okay, this is not the way. Long COVID, you cannot train. Oh, I'll go anyway. No, it doesn't work. Okay, the message here is, okay, identify which is the limiter and work around it. And if you cannot do it by yourself, find some help. Okay, because that's why we are having the discussion here, because we know that it can happen, and we have been seeing ways to overcome the difficulties. We have been seeing ways to go on and achieve the results. And another aspect that we have been talking already a few times ago is setting the right goal. Okay, because as well, setting the wrong goal can mess up this process. You can be resilient how you want, but if the goal is not doable, uh, that as well can be a difficulty. I see
of course.
Mohammed was nodding.
No, but it's just what you just said. This is where I think the coach really has an important job to do, is to bring down the athlete to the ground, and bring him down and just tell him what's realistic, instead of setting up himself for failure, the athlete. So the coach's job is to tell him, no, this is a bit too much. You're reaching too far.
Probably sometimes we are a little bit conservative as coaches, and the more you create the bond with your athlete, and the more you can push the athlete to say, okay, this difficulty is not a difficulty anymore. This is something that you can manage.
Yeah, I
Real
think
quick, yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
So I think that's very important what you guys said, because sometimes as a coach you see that person really conservative in their goals, in their life, in the way they see things, and this you can't really explain. It's the way somebody was raised, the concept, the environment that they grow up, things that they learn, the way that the parents deal with situations, because it's on us. You cannot change that. So if you put your limits, like your goals, they're really like, oh, I'm happy with this little bit here because that's what I feel I can do. And then you see as a coach a huge potential in everyone because we don't limit people, right? We are not the ones limiting people. People limit themselves. As a coach, you don't say, no, you're never going to do that. We say, maybe not now, but for sure you can do it at some point. So I think if you, as a coach, if you see that happening over and over and over, we should do that kick in the ass, saying, you know what, just go there and do it, and do bigger, and do longer, and do harder, because you are stuck here, you know. And I personally hate to see people stuck in life. I really don't like to see that. I'm always looking for a little bit of progression in anyone around, you know, because, you know, everyone grows together. So I think as a coach, there is a point that you hold, there is a point that you really push. And we learn that through challenges that we create for them, people doing things that honestly they impress all of us. People swimming 10 kilometers, you know, after being prepared for that, but really amazing, you know, going through that process with, you know, quite a lot of patience and strength. And if you will never create that challenge, most probably that person would never know if they can swim 10 kilometers in their life. So as a coach, you have an important part to, and I think we learned that here in BR, that we have an important part to hold and to push. Um, there is a space for both things, and people need both things. We need both things. I think that was my what I wanted to add here on the coaching part.
Yep, yep, yep. Looking for guidance is not a sign of weakness. Also, to help us on our journey and on our resilience, there is nutrition. Okay, so 30 seconds advertisement about a service that we have at BR, which is the BR fuel station. And our athletes can order their fuel packages and have it delivered on Classic Tuesday, and our athletes get also a discount. And fuel station is with sponsor products and stealth products. 30 seconds break, we come back.
In order to take you to the next level, we have to know two basic metrics, which is where you are now, your base level, and where you are going, your final goal. For this reason, we create a system called BR stages. The BR stages consist in 4 levels. Number 1, fundamentals. Number 2, skills. Number 3, performance. And finally, specialization.
And we're back with Chat with BR Coaches. We answered a little bit this question before, why triathlon requires resilience. We said before, in endurance sport we hear a lot the word resilience. It's something that we hear all the times. And in this episode we spoke about in a way that both as athletes, as coaches, and as coaches, we overcame our difficulties. Why does triathlon require resilience? It's going deep. It's not like, okay, yeah, just do it. Why triathlon, specifically triathlon, require resilience? Why do you think?
It's an endurance sport to start off with, so it's long. So by definition, you have to be able to last. So the length of it alone, that's challenge number one. Obviously, to be able to perform at an endurance event means you've got to be able to train for hours on end. So you have to juggle it alongside whatever else in your life demands your time and attention, your work, your family, your relationships, all that stuff. And it's also a lonely sport. Even if you have a team around you and you train with them, you know, and there's support and all that, the reality is a good chunk of your training is going to happen when you're by yourself. So those issues alone can pose a challenge. It'll be a bigger challenge for some people. It might not be an issue at all for others. also the fact that it's an endurance sport, it's a long event, puts your body under a lot of strain. So you can guarantee that at one stage or another, at least in one of the sports, there's going to be some sort of injury. It's going to happen. That has to be accepted. The good thing with triathlon is there's 3 sports, so if you can't run for a little while, you've still got 2 other sports that you can work with. So there's bound to be challenges in that sense. So you've got to be able to overlook them. Some days it's going to have to be pretty much a case of just suck it up and get on with it, and literally try and push through that. Other days you might need to adjust or whatever. But looking beyond the training itself, for example, an Ironman, you know, you've got, it's anything between 8 to 17 hours. Again, that's a big window for things to go wrong. And even in somebody that has the perfect day, like I remember, for example, the year that Jan Frodeno broke the world record at Challenge Roth. So he went, what, 7:35 at Challenge Roth. That was the year that on the descent after Greding Hill, he went off the hill and he went down, he missed the turn and he went down the hill, and then you kind of see him on the documentary video. He's coming back up, pushing his bike to get back on the bike. Then another course on the bike course, a car jumped the volunteer line and almost hit him on the course. So even in what you could potentially think that was the perfect race, my God, he broke the world record. No. He came off his bike. He almost had an accident, a collision with the car. So there's always the prospect of something going wrong. But you know, you can get a puncture, you can have a collision with another athlete, whatever it could be. It means you've got to be able, within that time frame that you've got, to try and pull it back. Yes, you say, you know, for an Ironman, for example, or any triathlon, not to talk just about the long distance ones, if something goes wrong, it makes a long day so much more, so much longer. But it also means it gives you more time to turn things around. And you being able to turn things around is down to you and how you deal with it mentally. It's very easy in a race to just say, oh, this isn't my day, I'm gonna give up. Nobody's gonna judge me if I kind of give up now. But it takes a lot of resilience, a lot of strength to just say, okay, it's not my day. It might not be the way I want it to be, but I still have this in my control. I'm still going to make sure I get to that finish line and I get something out of this day.
I like to see this as an acknowledgement of the difficulties that you can find both in training and in the race. You know, if you acknowledge that one during your preparation process, then there's not going to be a surprise. I mean, it can surprise you, but still, having acknowledged it, you are able to stand up and to go on. Joao, why triathlon requires resilience?
I think Melinda brought everything that we probably could think about, and I think they struggle to also don't know very well a certain sport. It's quite disappointing for some people, you know, like let's say if you're a really good runner, a really good cyclist, and then you are not a good swimmer, you know, to accept that gap that you have in your fitness, in your skills is really hard for some people. They really don't like that feeling. So to take the decision to give up on that sport and then just keep pushing the other two, I don't feel this is a resilience. I think this is like a escape. So I like to see everybody with the proper resilience building the weak sports. I think that's more resilience, because you can say, oh, I don't need to swim or I don't need to run very well because I do the other two. But actually, if you want to do triathlon, you should be aiming as an athlete to be really good or the best you can in all three sports. So I think also resilience in that sense would help people's mindset to say, you know what, I need to commit to be a better in something that I'm not so good. Instead of do less, you should do more. That's.
I agree.
Mo,
Completely.
anything to add on? I will read the horoscope later, but anything else that you see in triathlon? Why triathlon requires?
They're waiting for the horoscope. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the guys covered mostly, but I just want to add that also, racing is very important at the beginning, and just taking part in these races, because they're going to be disappointing. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get a certain problem with some you might get a cramp, and all these things, they're disappointing, but these are the things that you learn from, and these are the things that build resilience. The more disappointed you get, the more resilience you're going to build. You're not going to learn just by doing everything perfectly and training perfectly and just doing exactly what your coach is telling you. These things all, they come together in a race, and a race is really the platform where you really make you really learn, and you put everything that you've trained for in practice, and I think that's a big part of building your resilience.
Alessio, anything you want to add?
No, they have
No.
already
Okay,
said
good.
anything. Yeah.
No, but Alessio, so you are coming from one of the sports of triathlon. So
Yeah.
which is the session that you like the most? Which is on Monday at 7:30 in the evening.
Last Monday,
Yes.
she killed me.
Okay. So Monday at 7:30 we have a coach session at Blue Wave with Coach Melina, and yeah, info at bespoke-ride.com. Call front desk, get the information. It's a paid session, and we do a lot of stuff over there. We get 30 seconds break, and then we come back for the conclusions.
Usually, when a person is stressed and they're trying to work on healthier habits, and that's what happens to most of us, is we try to work on healthier habits, but we have certain internal stressors that prevent us from developing those good habits. So we start, we get stressed, and then we stop. So my job is to intervene right at the point where they start and where they stop, so they can continue. So I'm giving them the power and the tools to continue to build these healthy habits long term.
Right. We are back with Chat with BR Coaches for the conclusions of our episode. Anything else, guys, you want to add on the topic of resilience? Anything that you have learned?
Sorry. You? Me? So, so for me, very quick one. I think it's something that you really build, and you build over and over and over. And there are many, many layers of resilience. When you think you got it, life and sports and everything else is going to bring something new to you that you didn't thought about, and you just need to adapt and keep going. So it's not a process that, okay, I am strong, I got it, I know. It's never going to be like that. It's always a constant, it's a constant change and a very dynamic process, because as soon you feel you are very adapted to a certain process, that means it's time to move on, and the move on gonna bring you a new thing, and as well, life also gonna bring you new challenges, family, work, the daily thing. So I think it is a journey that people should take as a life journey. We spoke about it in the last podcast. It's a life journey, and the mindset shouldn't be, I got it, now I'm very good on this, and I can kind of enjoy myself. It's never going to be that. It's always going to be a constant change, variation, adaptation in everything that you do in your training, in everything that you do in your sports, in your life. So just don't think that resilience is something that you have and that's it. It's not like that. It's a training, and it's a tool that you use in many situations of your life, including the training, I think, and the sports. Yeah.
We can't hear you, Gamal.
Yeah, that summarizes very well. I think it's the topic that we brought up all together. That it's everything is a journey in triathlon, and resilience is part of it. Is one of it, where you know you start from an understanding of resilience, but then you need to build it, and then as well you need to acknowledge difficulties that you're gonna find during your journey, you're gonna overcome. And the message that we give is like we don't work on injuries, like going beyond the health as well, but we work around, and we seek for help if we are not able to overcome things. Okay, because it's normal, and it's not a sign of weakness. It's in the process of understanding things. Sometimes we don't understand because we had never seen it, because we cannot relate it to life. So resilience in life and in sport, they go together, but because we don't have the database of exposure, we haven't been exposed to that thing. So now we could be surprised. Uh, it's not easy. We are not saying it's easy. We are just saying it's complicated. It's complex. And Melina, you wanted to add something?
No, it was exactly what Joao said. That was what I was about to say. That it's
Connection.
you can definitely work on it. Sometimes we have beginner athletes kind of joining the team, and they look towards our more established athletes. I'm not linking that to performance or anything like that, but just athletes that have been with us for a while, have been in the sport a while, so they're more experienced. And sometimes they talk about those athletes and they go, oh my God, I don't know how they do it. They've got a job, they've got kids. I don't think I could ever do that. And I think taking that approach straight away puts a limit onto what you can do. There's a very good picture, meme, whatever it is you want to call it, that's kind of made the rounds over and over again on social media, where it's that iceberg, and it says, this is what you see at the top of the iceberg. It's a tiny little bit of ice, and that could be, performance success. And then there's massive chunk of ice under the surface where it says, injuries, persistence, resilience, all the stuff that we don't see. And I think it can be very easy sometimes to look at someone that seems to have it sussed and all together, and think, it just comes really easy to them. I'm not the same as them. And the reality is they're struggling just as much as you are, or maybe even more at times. They just learned to push through. And if you're struggling to push through by yourself, then use the people around you to help pull you out. There's like you said before, there's if you need help, just ask for it. That's not a sign of weakness. You just acknowledge where you're at, and you need a little bit of a nudge to get you through. So it's definitely not something you have or you don't. With everything else in the sport, you've got to be able to work for it, or want to work for it.
Yeah. Each individual athlete has a unique life, so relating to others, it's okay, but you need to see who you are, where you are, and what's your lifestyle. Yeah. More.
Yeah, so I feel like resilience it has to do a lot with also willpower. and I feel like they intertwined with each other, resilience and willpower. And I feel like it's like a muscle that needs to grow. And this is why this sport is such an amazing sport. You know, it gives you a tool that you can use for the rest of your life. And you build this muscle, this resilience and this willpower, and you build it and you keep on building it. And all through your journey through this sport, through this amazing sport, triathlon. And it's just, it gives you like an armor for the rest of your life, and to deal with, like Coach Joao was saying, to deal with other parts of your life, not just sport. And I just feel like this sport has opened up a huge opportunity. It opens up a huge opportunity for athletes to build that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I think we nailed this resilience, so we're not gonna talk about this for a while. You guys need to listen to this podcast episode once it's edited, because there is everything that we had to say about it. And yes, so this concludes our cycle of the art of mindset. We need to brainstorm a little bit on for the next stuff, because we have a lot of ideas boiling, and then people are traveling, and we need to adjust our setups, right, Melina?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. You
Yes.
need to tell me what I need to get so I can make my laptop work when I go to Cyprus.
Well, if I tell you where I'm now, I'm very grateful, because I have here in the you cannot see, I'm using a fake screen, but I'm at the beach, and when everything is, it's not even open, so, but they let me use the Wi-Fi. So I see the lifeguards, they are closing the umbrellas because there is a storm and everything. So anyway, okay guys, was a pleasure again. I'm gonna conclude this episode. Guys, stay safe, take care,
Right.
and we'll see you soon.
Bye. See you guys. Bye.
Stop recording.